Welcome to Charter Local Edition. I'm Pete Stein, and we're pleased to be joined by State Representative Bill Zedler, representing District 96. We appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in.
Pete, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Talk a little bit about what you're looking forward to most about the upcoming legislative session.
Well, the main thing we want to try and get done, first of all, is to make sure that we can do as much as the state can do to secure the borders. And the things that we feel like we can do is put more high-tech devices on there and things like that, so that the people that we do have on the ground can be more efficient and more effective in curtailing the inflow of illegal immigration. A lot of people believe that the main thing we have to worry about is people seeking to get jobs, but what we've found is first of all, the drug cartel, who's very much involved in this immigration issue, is they're also trying to bring in illegal drugs, of course, and they're also very much involved in human trafficking. And so whatever we can do to alleviate and help the border enforcement to do their job, it gives them more time to get involved in also curtailing illegal drug trafficking as well as human trafficking.
Is that because the federal government isn't doing enough, or because
that's exactly right, Pete. There's a lot of things that the federal government could do to secure the borders. A lot of people think in terms of, well, we can't put a fence along the entire border and that kind of thing. We don't need to. All we got to do is put enough boots on the ground and enough high-tech surveillance devices that we can secure the border in a very meaningful way. Because a lot of people also think in terms of, well, we're just having people coming from Central and South America. Since January of this year, we've had people from 140 different countries from around the world. And you know what the biggest country that was represented? China. So the fact of the matter is what we want to do is make sure that we're curtailing not only illegal immigration, but the other thing is addressing the drug trafficking, the human trafficking, as well as any possibility of terroristic threats that may be coming in from the south of the border.
Let's talk a little bit about the margin tax,
right,
which is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's essentially a fee for doing business in the state of Texas.
Yes. Before we had that, it was called the franchise tax. And the problem with the franchise tax was that a lot of the major corporations were able to get around not paying it because they used what they call the Delaware loophole. Who were the people who were paying the taxes? Were the small to medium-sized businesses. The end result is we came in with the margins tax, and there was a lot of things of it that we thought it was going to do, and basically it was one of those things where it didn't really end up doing that. And so there's a lot of us that believe that what we need to go do is go ahead and just eliminate the margins tax, because the main thing I've seen is that, first of all, a lot of people said, well, this is going to be easy to do. Not if you ask the people who are having to fill it out. Second thing is that it was going to be fair. I actually have people who were paying the tax before. In other words, they were paying the franchise tax before, unless they were paying about $5,000. Now all of a sudden they're paying $20,000 under the margins tax. And so what we feel is the best thing to do is to start eating away at the margins tax and eventually just doing away with it. Simply because what we want to do is don't have any curtailments that could prevent the expansion of business. Because when we see the expansion of business, we see more people being employed, we see people being employed at higher wages. So we believe by doing that, it'll actually help the economy, it'll actually help the people, and the main thing is what we believe is let's see if we can get the government to spend less money as opposed to figuring out somewhere to pull that money from.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of support for this. Do you think that's something that'll get done during the legislative session?
I certainly hope so. I believe there's a lot of people who they have that as a priority to get done.
Let's talk a little bit about the do not resuscitate order. Right. I know this is something you're very involved in.
Yes, I came out of the healthcare industry, and I can tell you that we're one of the few states that have right now a hospital or a physician can put a do not resuscitate order in your records without either your knowledge or your permission. And we believe, though, in fact, last session there was an attempt to somewhat adjust it. They were going to make it so that they could still put the do not resuscitate order in without your permission, but they would be required to make an honest effort to inform you. What we believe needs to be done is that before they put a do not resuscitate order in your patient records, We need to have it where they get your written permission either from you or from your designated family member before they ever do anything like that.
It's a little bit surprising that that's not already on the books, isn't it?
Hey, listen, a lot of people, I'll tell you why. A lot of people don't know it. I mean, I was not aware of it. And I came out of the healthcare industry. And I was, although it only was put in there like in 1999, right around there. It was before I went into the legislature. But I was shocked when I found out that was going on.
A couple of other things that we've heard from other legislators that'll be points of emphasis. One is transportation and
Yes.
the importance of new roads.
Well, in fact, we just met with Governor-to-be Abbott, and it's something that I've supported for some time, and that's what we want to do is take the sales tax revenue that comes from the sale of cars and trucks and designate that towards roads. Because we believe that when you have a designated amount of money, that'll be one help. The other thing, what we want to do is alleviate in some cases, the money is supposed to be for that, and somehow it doesn't get to be in that little pot when they gets through shelling out the money. So what we want to do is make sure there's no diversions or that of money that is supposed to go to the transportation.
I know Governor-elect Abbott has said one of his priorities is education.
Right.
And obviously funding is a concern, and also
Exactly.
the curriculum.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that the state has made very clear is we don't want the new Common Core language or educational material. We not only don't want it in the books and that kind of thing. Neither do we want it in the teacher material, because what we've seen is that actually the scores actually go down, not up, when they've been using under Common Core. And what we want to do is make sure more money actually goes into the classroom. If you go back over the last 20 years, there's been more money going into education. The issue is that there has been an increase, a significant increase, in the money going outside the classroom. And so what we want to do is make sure more money goes into the classroom. The final thing is this. We believe that the more parental involvement that there is as far as school choice is concerned, the better the education system will be.
Is there any message you would want to give to your constituents as we begin this legislative session?
Yeah, I believe that there are certain fundamental principles that have made America the greatest country in the world. And I think in general, those principles are free enterprise, limited government, limited taxes, family values. I believe that free enterprise works better than a government-run top-down economy. I believe that a smaller government is better for us than a large government, because a small government requires less tax revenue. And you know what? I believe that you and I and the citizens of Texas know far better how to spend their money than the government does. And so I believe the more money that we can allow them to keep, the better off everybody is.
State Representative Bill Zedler, thanks for your time and thanks for being with us on Charter Local Edition.
Pete, thank you very much for having me.